Special intensive revision is in the news for past 6 months. Yesterday, Election Commission of India have released final SIR count. According to the final report, there are total number of 7.42 crore voters. For your reference, in the Bihar election, is if we'll go by Lok Sabha election 2024. So in Lok Sabha election 2024, Bihar was having 7.72 crore voters. In January 2025, 7.80 crore voters were there before SIR process. When the SIR process was about to start, that voter increased to 7.89 crore. And in the draft SIR produced by the Election Commission of India, the total number of voters was 7.24 crores. Now the final list is having 7.42 crores. So just before the beginning of this SIR process, 7.89 crores, draft 7.24 crores, final 7.42 crores. So what it shows that? So it shows that somewhere around, if we will go away particularly, somewhere around 40 lakh voters are being removed in this SIR process. SIR process became a battleground between the political party. And case went to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court said that they will wait for the final rollout, and after that, if required, they will take necessary action on that. So yesterday, when this report came out, opposition parties have said that they are going to read that detail and then they will make a comment. Meanwhile, SIR process is going to be rolled out at pan-India level as per the Election Commission of India. So let's see what is going to be happen. But from the exam point of view, students are highly recommended to go for Election Commission's power, as well as they have to see Representation of People Act, all the provisions related to this. Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS is celebrating 100 years of its formation. On 27th of September 1925, Dr. 𝐃𝐨𝐲𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 have established Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh on the auspicious occasion of Vijayadashmi. Popularly, we use the term Dashara. So on that day, it was established. Now, tomorrow, we have a Dashara. So RSS is celebrating its 100th year of formation. In that 100th year, RSS is known for various things, and basically it is also known as Sangh Parivar. So RSS is a voluntary organization which have multiple divisions: political, education, labor, and the core of all these things is RSS, and overall it is called as Sangh Parivar. At present, it is headed by Mohan Bhagwatji, who is the head of RSS. Today, Prime Minister also reached to Nagpur. He is addressing the achievement of RSS at their headquarters, which is at Nagpur. Zubin Garg, the beloved singer, especially in Assam, after his death, now Government of India has invoked Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty with Singapore. So this treaty is going to allow India to get the data and evidence related to the death of singer Zubin Garg. Zubin Garg was died in Singapore, and after his death, Assam police have lodged an FIR. Assam want to get this clarity on the thing that death was natural or unnatural, or what was the reason for his death. But because he died in the Singapore, unless that treaty is not going to be evoked, India, especially Assam police, is not going to get this evidence. Usually, country will sign this agreement, which is Mutual Legal Assistance Agreement, in order to get in cooperation in any kind of the investigation. Under this agreement, India can get all the evidences related to the case of the death of the Zubin Garg. India have not only with the Singapore, but with multiple countries, India have signed this Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty. For example, with Mongolia, Ukraine, Iran, with many countries, India have signed this agreement. So this agreement helps basically in order to solve any financial criminal cases. Amazon rainforest, which are known as lungs of the earth, their heights is rising. As per the new report, the height of the Amazon rainforest is increased by 3% in past 10 years. Why? The phenomena is known as carbon fertilization. According to this phenomena, if the carbon dioxide level is going to increase, the process of the photosynthesis is also going to increase, which help the growth of the tree. And this is why the height of the Amazon rainforest is rising. Means these trees are able to absorb more carbon dioxide. That means we can go for the deforestation. Answer is no. Deforestation is a separate phenomena. Usually it is if the less number of the tree are able to absorb more carbon dioxide, many people believe that we can have less number of the tree because they are observing more carbon dioxide. But carbon dioxide emission is also increasing. So carbon fertilization in any case is not a valid ground for deforestation. Deforestation must be stopped in order to decrease the rise in the temperature of the earth. But these studies are encouraging, and that shows that how this Amazon rainforest, which hold just 1% of the land mass of the entire earth, but at the same time they have the place or home of 10% of wildlife known species in the world. Fiscal deficit is a key for any country's overall financial health and fiscal health. Fiscal deficit is basically total expenditure minus total receipts, excluding borrowing. So, it is a very important indicator for country's economy, and as per the latest data released by the Ministry of Finance, from April to August, the total amount of the fiscal deficit is 38% of total fiscal deficit what government of India have targeted for the financial year 25-26. In comparison to previous year, it was 27% in that phase, but this year it increased to 38%. Means if in the first 5 months we already reached to 38%, still 7 months are left. Means is it possible that India is going to cross the target of 4.4% of fiscal deficit? So experts believe that there is a rise in the fiscal deficit because of less tax receipts received by the government of India. In past 5 months, there is a contraction in the tax receipts of the government of India because of the increased income tax limit and extended limit for filing the ITR. Whereas at the same time, because of the contraction in the indirect taxes. So these are the two things which cause a concern for widening of the fiscal deficit. But at the same time, the non-tax receipts of the government of India is on consistent rise. This is why ministry officials believe that what government of India have projected for financial year 25-26 in the budget estimate, the 4.4% of the fiscal deficit, it will be able to achieve. But here we have to be more conscious about the fiscal deficit target, because apart from the current account deficit, fiscal deficit holds the key for country's financial and fiscal health. According to the RBI's latest data, India's external debt reached to $747.2 billion. Out of this $747.2 billion, approximately $611 billion is a long-term debt. Long-term debt usually is of above 5 year to 10 year, even 15 to 20 to even 30 to 40 years. So that debt is a long-term debt. Remaining 20% is a short-term debt. When we talk about the external debt of a country, the external debt of a country comprises of the debt, means the borrowing by the government of India, borrowing by the private companies, borrowing by the individuals from foreign country. So this concept of external debt comprises of all kind of the borrowings by a country, whether by their government or by their companies. All these borrowings will comprise of external borrowings. So the phenomenon of external borrowings is very important from countries' overall financial health. And if if country have high external debt to GDP ratio. What is high? What is this debt to GDP ratio? In very simple term, suppose a country is able to generate 100 rupees income, but for every 100 rupees income, they are borrowing 30 rupees. 30 rupees. So their debt to GDP ratio will be 30. And if a country is generating 100 rupees as a GDP, but they are borrowing only 18 rupees, so their debt to GDP ratio will be 18. In this context, if we'll compare the external debt of India at present, $747.2 billion, and India's GDP, then at present, India's external debt to GDP ratio is 18.2%, which is considered as a moderate, which shows that the resilience of Indian economy over the year. In fact, our foreign currency reserve is also breaching the figure of $700 billion, which shows that India have the stable economy and consistently on the rise. However, recently, Asian Development Bank, they have downgraded India's possibility of achieving a higher GDP growth rate. And according to them, now maybe India will able to achieve only 6.5% GDP growth in the current financial year because of the tariff imposed by the US government.